and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and in today's video, I'm going to be recommending a bunch of werewolf romances. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Trope Week. This week, I'm doing a series on my channel called Trope Week, where every day for an entire week, I pick a specific romance book trope, and I give you a bunch of recommendations. It has been more paranormal themed, which has been so much fun, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about werewolf and shifter romances. Also, an exciting video because I am doing a collab with my good friend Christy from ChristiReadsAlot. Like, her channel name fits her so well because Christy really does read a lot. Like, so many books. The way that she organizes and writes her reviews, so I will leave both her channel and her Goodreads page down below if you want to follow her, but make sure to check out her video if you want even more werewolf romance recs. Okay, I'm just going to start with the recommendations because I have like 15 books to talk about. I am a pretty big fan of werewolf romances. I was in high school, I read so much paranormal romances, like it was my absolute favorite genre, so I have quite a few recommendations for you. First one I want to talk about is by one of my favorite authors, and that is In This Iron Ground by Marina Vivancos. The first book in her natural magic duology, and it is a male-male shifter romance. This book follows our main hero Damien, who is a human, and his parents died at a very young age, so he is bouncing between different foster homes. He ends up getting sent to a foster home that is very abusive. This does have trigger warnings for child abuse and mental health. As he's trying to escape that house, he ends up going to the forest near his house and seeing a pack of werewolves. Just to know that the pack of werewolves is the Salgado pack, and it is a family that lives on the outskirts of town. He really bonds with everyone in the family, but he really has a connection with the eldest brother, Hakan. The friends lovers romance, but I will say it is pretty slow burn because the majority of the book is following Damien's personal journey. He has a lot of healing to do from his past trauma, and you kind of just see him naturally grow and heal and realize that he is worthy of good things and of love. And it is so beautiful to see all of his connections with everyone in the family and then his eventual romance. I think Marina Vivancos just writes romances in such a unique, almost therapeutic way. They are very emotional and also very healing, and I cannot recommend them enough. Next one I want to recommend is Perfectly Imperfect Pixie by MJ May. This is another male-male romance, and it is a romance between a pixie and a werewolf, which is a pretty unique pairing. Our hero Phil is a pixie, and he is a home and hearth pixie, which means that he is kind of like a caretaker. However, he is a little different than other pixies just from the way he acts and dresses and looks, so he has struggled to find employment because people kind of like judge him based on the way he looks. Our other hero Cedric is a werewolf, and his brother has recently passed away, so he is now the guardian of his niece and nephew. His niece and nephew's grandfather is involved in a lot of shady businesses and is actually trying to get custody of the two children. He ends up hiring our hero Phil, who can bond with the children and the house, which will offer more protection, but little do they know that they're fated mates, and it follows their romance. And it is so freaking cute. I loved the way that our heroes were mutually obsessed with each other. I loved the bond with the children. It was just absolutely adorable. All the side characters are really interesting. This is the only werewolf shifter romance in the series, but the other books are equally as good. Next one that I want to recommend is Unnatural by Alessandra Hazard. It was a recommendation from my best friend, a Genki Reader, over on Instagram, or Desiree Alicia here on YouTube. It's another male-male romance, and it is an arranged marriage. Hero Hayden is the prince of his kingdom and supposed to inherit the title of king. And then our other hero Royce is a senator for his kingdom. It is a little bit of an Omegaverse. If you're not familiar with Omegaverse, it is basically like shifter romances and fated romances, but much more intense, where people are born with designations like Alpha, Beta, and Omega. Not all Omegaverses take place in a shifter universe, but this one does. What makes this book pretty unique is that both of our heroes are actually alphas, which is a pretty unusual pairing. Not exactly prohibited in their world, but it is definitely discouraged, and they're both kind of like battling for dominance as they are navigating all of the political aspects of their each individual kingdom. Like a fated mates trope or a romance where the two characters are like obsessed with each other, this one is definitely for you. The second one in that series is also really good. It's called Pharaoh. This one is a pretty angsty forbidden romance, and I just think the way that she writes the shifter universe is very unique. Candice Costa has a couple of werewolf shifter romances. The first one that I want to talk about is Moon Blooded Breeding Clinic. This is a romance between a human and a werewolf. This one does have trigger warnings for infertility. Our heroine has been trying to get pregnant for a really long time, but she was not able to, which ultimately led to her separation with her ex-husband. Ends up finding about a new clinic clinic that is doing this new test that has a really high fertility rate. Realize that werewolves during their ruts are really, really fertile, especially with human women. Signs up for the clinic to get like a sperm donor that is a werewolf, where she meets our hero Lau, who is a photographer. He has traveled the world for a really long time, but he is moving back to his hometown, be closer to his family, who is a very prominent family in this small town neighborhood. It's an age gap romance with an older heroine. Our heroine is also much more dominant and our hero is a little bit more submissive, and I just loved this one. I think they're so cute together. Our hero is just like this cute little cinnamon roll that I absolutely adore. And the other one that she has is Run Run Rabbit. This is a shorter novella. Those are two characters who are both werewolves and they both work at the same law firm. Our hero is partner of the law firm, so he is technically her boss, so it's a little bit of a forbidden office romance. They have an instant attraction to one another that they're kind of dancing around. A grumpy pairing. Okay, both of our characters are honestly kind of assholes, but like they're perfect for each other. They love to make each other jealous. They love to play games. This has a breeding kink. This has a primal kink. This is a darker romance because our characters love to play games with one another, but I was obsessed with this book. Next one I have talked about a lot on my channel. It is one of my favorite series, and that is Wolf Song, which is the first book in the Green Creek series. This is a series you absolutely have to read in order. It's a paranormal romance series that follows different male-male romances. The first book follows Ox, who is a human who moves into a new town, Green Creek. He immediately has a connection with a family in the woods, especially their younger brother Joe. It turns out that this family is a pack of werewolves and Joe is his fated mate. There's rival packs that are trying to attack them. There's magic going on. This has a huge found family trope. I just think this entire series is written so beautifully. I love TJ Klune's writing. Next one is a short novella. It is Mating the Huntress by Talia Hibbert. This one is an enemies to lovers romance because our heroine is actually a werewolf hunter. However, she has never killed a werewolf because her family was given a prophecy that the first werewolf that she kills will ruin her life or something to that effect. She ends up meeting a werewolf at the diner that she works at, and she's determined to prove to her family that she can be a hunter. Knows that she is his fated mate and is like absolutely obsessed with her. This one is really short and steamy, but also really funny and has another cinnamon roll hero who I absolutely adore. Next one is a reverse harem, and that is Spark of Fate by Tessa Hale. This is the first book in her Shifting Fate series, which you do have to read in order. I will just put a warning that this does have a cliffhanger. This one, our heroine ends up losing her older sister to a very tragic car accident. Her and her mom end up moving to a new town to kind of have a fresh start, and when she goes to her school, she ends up having this very like primal instant connection with a few guys at the school. This is a reverse harem. Weird things and secrets going on in the town, and it turns out that she is mated to a pack of werewolves. Honestly, love Tessa Hale's books. She writes really interesting fantasy paranormal romances that are why I choose a reverse harem, which is one of my favorite tropes. And like I said, they're just very fun and fast paced. This one is another Omegaverse, and that is Fist, Fangs, and Rival Omega. This isn't Omegaverse, but I am including this in a shifter werewolf video because they do shift into werewolves. Series is called the Moonstar Dating Agency series because it centers around this dating agency where different characters go to find their fated mates. Our two heroes end up going to this agency and kind of getting like paired together, but they are sports rivals. The hero who is an alpha is the champion boxer in his weight class, and then our hero who is an omega is trying to make a name for himself in the sport, but it's really hard because it is an alpha dominated sport. Sports rivals, and they end up competing against one another in the ring, but it follows their romance. I really did love this one because it has so many fun tropes like sports romance, Omegaverse, enemies to lovers, also fated mates. It's a really fun quick read, and I do enjoy the other books in the series as well. Next one is Muscles and Monsters by Ashley Bennett. This is the first in her Leviathan Fitness series. Her heroine is a baker, and there is a new gym that opens up right next to her, and one of the personal trainers is a werewolf who has a sweet tooth. He's going into her bake shop and flirting with her, so she decides to get a membership at the gym, and it follows their romance. He was recently out of a bad breakup, and he is looking for something a little bit more serious and to settle down, and he absolutely cherishes and worships our heroine. Like, he is obsessed with her. It is so freaking cute and sweet, so this one is a good one to read. A really popular one is Wolf Gone Wild by Juliet Cross. This is a romance between a witch and a werewolf. The hero who was a werewolf was cursed many years ago, and he's like struggling to control his werewolf and his inner beast, so that is how he ends up reaching out to our heroine Evie, who is a witch who specializes in breaking curses. Emily kind of has a little bit of a vendetta against werewolves and kind of have sworn not to help them. She immediately feels drawn to our hero and wants to help them, so it follows their romance. The grumpy sunshine pairing with our heroine being the sunshine one and our hero being the grumpy one, but they are just so cute together. So what I want to talk about is Slave to Sensation by Nalini Singh. This is the first in her side changeling series. This one is really unique and I almost struggle to explain the world. Kind of gives me Matrix vibes. I can describe her heroine is that she is psychic, kind of is known for being very cold and detached, but she has recently been feeling all of these different types of emotions. She ends up meeting her hero Lucas, who is a werewolf shifter, and he comes to town because there are different changelings and shifters that are showing up brutally murdered, so he's trying to figure out what is going on. Like, I don't even describe that well because the universe is so incredibly unique. The only thing I can say is just read it because I've never read a series like it before. Next two are really popular werewolf romances that I read a while ago and really enjoyed. The first one is A Hunger Like No Other by Cressley Cole. It's a romance with our heroine who is a vampire and our hero who is a werewolf. The next one is the Wolves of Mercy Falls series by Maggie Stiefvater, YA shifter romance that I think I read in like high school. It reminds me of a lot of the Green Creek series by TJ Klune. If you like that series, this one is a good one to pick up. It's very like cozy fall atmospheric vibes. Those are some werewolf shifter romances. Make sure to check out Christy's video if you want even more recommendations. Let me know what your favorite werewolf romance is down below. And as always, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video.